Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to online learning. In the previous class, we had learned the difference between breathing and respiration, in which I told you I'll let you know what happens to the glucose that is formed after the breakdown of carbohydrates. Now you can see in this flowchart the glucose is broken down into three different compounds. In the first and the second reaction that takes place in our body, and the third reaction that happens in the absence of oxygen takes place in different types of microorganisms like yeast. The glucose, after the process of digestion, enters the cytoplasm of the cell. You must be aware of the term cytoplasm. Inside the cytoplasm, in the presence of the oxygen that we have inhaled, the glucose gets converted into a 3-carbon compound also called as pyruvate. This breaking down of glucose to pyruvate generates energy. And this energy, as I told you, is utilized by our body to perform different metabolic and cellular activities. This pyruvate undergoes 3 different reactions. One is the usual breaking down of pyruvate, that is the first reaction that takes place in one of the cell organelles of our cell. You must be aware of the term cell organelles. One of the cell organelles, that is mitochondria, also known as the powerhouse of the cell. You remember we have learned all these terms in 9th standard. If you are not aware of the term cell organelles or mitochondria, one of the cell organelles, do refer. Okay? In the mitochondria, the pyruvate again breaks down in the presence of oxygen and forms carbon dioxide, water, and releases energy. Again, this energy is utilized by our body. Now, in certain circumstances, when we do heavy works or intense exercises, the pyruvate, in the absence of oxygen, sometimes produces lactic acid. The lactic acid, your muscles produce it during intense exercise. It does not make any contribution to exercise performance and hence causes muscle cramps. Recall your game spirit, or whenever you have been playing for a long time or doing exercise, you must have gone through these muscle cramps, paining in your muscles. Are you able to recall it? Yes, that is because of the accumulation of this lactic acid in your muscles, in the muscle cells. This lactic acid does not contribute to exercise performance, but breaking down of glucose to lactic acid leads to generation of energy. This energy is utilized to perform this extra load of work that you do. Could be a heavy work or could be an intense exercise, etc. In the third reaction, that is breaking down of glucose in the absence of oxygen, you can see the last arrow of the flowchart. This reaction is also called as anaerobic respiration. I am sure that you will be aware of this term as well. In anaerobic respiration, like taking place in cases of organisms like yeast, the glucose, in the presence of certain enzymes are also called as biological catalysts that help in boosting up a reaction, that help in carrying out. To know more about enzymes, do refer. In the presence of enzymes, glucose breaks down and forms ethanol carbon dioxide and also generates little amount of energy, the energy that will be less as compared to aerobic respiration or the usual respiration that takes place in our body. But the little amount of energy produced is enough to be utilized by microorganisms like yeast. So this is what happens to glucose, the breaking down of glucose by various pathways. Now that you are aware of it, I would request you to take a screenshot of this flowchart and draw it in your notebook. This is a very important flowchart. The whole explanation of various pathways is shown within this flowchart, so it will be very useful to you. After drawing the flowchart, please try to answer the questions given below. Thank you. See you in the next class. Stay home, stay safe.